Hey, what's up, everybody? True Sticker here. Man, this shit just keeps getting crazier and crazier and crazier. So this shit is titled, China Helps Bill Gates Spray Radioactive Chemtrails on U.S. Cities. Gates Foundation actually admits this. You are familiar with chemtrails, most likely. You have seen even those streaks in the sky that linger a bit too long and cause brain fog and sore throats. But what if you was told they are now doing more than just spraying cloud seed and aluminum? What if I told you for decades China has been developing potent chemtrail formulas, saturating its own cities with a weaponized fog that contains neurotoxins and is intended to calm a whole population? And now they're sharing that technology. Insiders claim that Bill Gates is combining China's chemical payloads with his own aerial experiments, and in exchange, he is granting them access to America's skies, unparalleled access. Weather control is not what this is. People are in charge of this.
Another one of those conspiracy theories that came true. Geoengineering is a real thing. There has been testimony in front of the United Nations. People like Bill Gates and people in government are using geoengineering, which means spraying chemicals out of airplanes in our skies, things like aluminum and barium that are toxic.
And what is the purpose?
To dim the sun. One of the sources of all life on the planet. They want to dim the sun. Aluminum is toxic to all life forms. It has no biological function, use, anything. And it's neurotoxic. They are spraying neurotoxins on us that we can't avoid, that then go into our crops, that are taken up in our rivers and streams, and therefore irrigation water. It's one of the most blatant, flagrant violations of informed consent that's ever existed.
The death dumps, otherwise known as chemical trails, are being dropped and sprayed throughout the United States, in England, Scotland, Ireland, Northern Europe, and I have personally seen them not only in the United States, but in Mexico and Canada. Birds are dying around the world. Fish are dying by the hundreds of thousands around the world. This is genocide. This is poison. This is murder by the United Nations. This element within our society that's doing this must be stopped. I happen to know of two of the locations where the airplanes are that dump this crap on us. 4 of the planes are out of the Air National Guard, Lincoln, Nebraska, and the other planes are out of Fort Still, Oklahoma. I personally have observed the planes that were standing still in Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, at the Air National Guard. They have no markings on them. They're huge, bomber-like airplanes with no markings. This is a crime against humanity, crime against America, crime against the citizens of this great country. They must be stopped. What is wrong with Congress? This has an effect on their population and their people and their friends and their relatives and themselves. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with the pilots who are flying these airplanes? They're dumping this crap, this poison, on their own families. Somebody has to do something about it. Somebody in Congress has to step forward and stop it now.
Those aren't nutrients, to be clear. They're not organic. Simply said, they are toxins. And that's the main facts right there. It really is. This is poisoning us. It's poisoning our land. It's poisoning our water, wildlife, everything. It's literally killing ecosystems across the whole world. And this crazy old man gets away with it. I'm going to go to this insider that's actually from the Gates Foundation. You have to hear what she has to say.
I don't even know how to start this. What matters is that I work inside one of the most powerful philanthropic foundations in the world. You know the one, the Gates Foundation. Publicly, we're all about saving lives, funding innovation, reshaping the future. Privately, that's all bullshit. We're actually deploying full spectrum domination via every avenue the conspiracy theorists have been warning you about. I joined this place because I believed in the mission. I believed we were building something better, smarter agriculture, cleaner vaccines, environmental sustainability, all of it. But over the last 18 months, I've seen things that tore that belief to pieces. Because what we're doing now is not science, it's warfare. Our foundation is actively coordinating with foreign contractors, including direct partnerships with Chinese government research teams on atmospheric aerosol projects across multiple U.S. population centers. What the public thinks are harmless contrails or cloud seeding experiments, they're not. These are chemtrail operations, and they've gone far beyond weather manipulation. The sprays being deployed now are laced with neurochemical agents, cocktails engineered to suppress emotion, blunt cognitive function, and reduce population reactivity. I've reviewed the formulation sheets. They contain substances in doses that would be classified as crowd control weapons under international law. But that's not the worst part. I've been reviewing data from our lab, and what we're finding is horrifying. In the latest run, we detected barium-137 at concentrations over 150 parts per million, far higher than anything naturally occurring in the atmosphere. For those who don't understand what that means, Ba-137 is a short-lived radioactive isotope. It's not made in nature. It's the byproduct of cesium-137 decay, a known component of nuclear waste. The kind used in dirty bombs, the kind that's supposed to be locked away for centuries. So the question is, why the hell is it raining down on Texas? We also found cadmium, mercury, aluminum, copper, lead, all in the same sample. And yet nobody seems to care. No emergency declarations, no advisories, nothing. The internal conversations are even worse. The arrogance, the sociopathy. The founder, he sits in meetings talking about planetary balance and population pressure like he's some kind of digital god. I once heard him say, most people are just bandwidth noise. You manage that like you manage code, shut down unnecessary processes. That's when I knew I had to get out. I don't know how far this goes, but I know what I've seen. I've archived the mass spec reports. I've made copies of the supply chain logs. I have names, dates, formulas, and I can't stay silent anymore. If you're listening to this and you're inside the system, if you're a pilot, check your conscience. Look at what we're doing. We're poisoning our own people under the banner of progress. And if someone doesn't blow this wide open soon, there might not be a world left to warn. I'll release more soon, if they don't find me first.
Yeah, it's definitely some crazy, crazy shit. So this bastard is literally just getting away with, all this shit. And it just blows my mind that people are allowed to really just do things like this. It doesn't really take much, work to actually, you just say you're cloud seeding. Yeah, we're just doing our another geoengineering, so it's totally fine. And really, this guy's dumping fucking mosquitoes and a whole bunch of different experiments. I mean, literally, they've been doing chemtrail experiments like this for a long time. If you guys don't remember the fun vax.
Excuse me, on the left over here, we have individuals who are religious fundamentalists, religious fanatics, and this is the expression, RT-PCR, real-time PCR, expression of the VMAT2 gene. Over here, we have individuals. So let me complete. So over here, we have individuals who are not particularly fundamentalist, not particularly religious, and you can see there's a much reduced expression of this particular gene, the VMAT2 gene. Another evidence that supports our hypothesis for the development of this approach.
What you see here is by spreading this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from donning on a bomb vest and going into a market and blowing up the market.
So our hypothesis is that these are fanatical people, that they have overexpression of the VMAT2 gene, and that by vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior. So we have some very, very remarkable data in this next slide. Here we have two brain scans. These are fMRIs. These are two different individuals with different levels of expression of VMAT2. On top is an individual who's a religious fanatic, an individual, and we've repeated this numerous times, that has high levels of VMAT2. Now, this individual down here who had low levels of the VMAT2 gene, this individual would self-describe as not particularly religious. In each case, these individuals were read a religious text. This individual lit up the right middle frontal gyrus, shown here, and that's a part of the brain that's associated with theory of mind. It's a part of the brain that has to do with intents and beliefs and desires. In marked contrast, here's an individual who would not particularly self-describe as religious, and when they're read a religious text, what you see is that this part of the brain called the anterior insula lights up. This is a part of the brain that's associated with disgust or displeasure on hearing something.
So you're suggesting I take a CT scan with me when I'm evaluating people to determine whether I put a bullet in their head?
So the data that I'm presenting here supports the concept that we're proposing, and I think that we would not propose to do CT scans or fMRIs on individuals out in the hinterlands of Afghanistan. The virus would immunize against this VMAT2 gene, and that would have the effect that you see here, which is it's essentially to turn a fanatic into a normal person. And we think that will have major effects in the Middle East.
How would you suggest that this is going to be dispersed? The aerosol? How would you suggest that this is going to be dispersed? The aerosol? How would you suggest that this is going to be dispersed? The aerosol? How would you suggest that this is going to be dispersed? The aerosol?
Well, so the present plan and the tests that we've done so far have used respiratory viruses such as flu or rhinoviruses, and we believe that that's a satisfactory way to get the exposure of the largest part of the population. Most of us, of course, have been exposed to both of those viruses, and we're quite confident that this will be a very successful approach.
This is fascinating. What's the name of this proposal?
Yeah, so the name of this project is FunVax, which is the vaccine for religious fundamentalism.
And you have a proposal already?
The proposal has just been submitted, and I think that the data that I have shown you today would support the development of this project, and we think it has great promise. Excuse me.
And literally, they just convert these old C-130s and bomber planes, and this is how they do it. This is literally how they do it.
Florida has put out legislation to ban geoengineering from its skies, and Iowa, Kentucky, and Arizona have already followed suit. Tennessee already banned this last year. So again, another example of how many conspiracy theorists maybe aren't that crazy after all. And yes, there's dispute on whether chemtrails are real or whether they're conspiracy. Some people say they're a contrail. Let's put that aside for a second. It is now undeniable that the government and private companies are already spraying our skies with particles for weather modification to help combat climate change. Okay, even CNN put out an article recently admitting this. So, particles in our sky for climate change, hey? Yeah, no fucking thank you. I don't trust the government to regulate our food or our drugs. They lost my trust a long time ago when they've clearly shown that they care more about their bottom line and their agendas than the safety of the people that are affected by it in society. They get sued for this all the time. Just look it up. And that's if they haven't already struck a deal with the government that makes them immune to the liability of this. So I sure as shit don't trust them to put particles in our environment for climate change. Okay, I don't know who in their right mind would be okay with that. So allow me to be blunt. Get your fucking head on straight, people, and have some common sense and look into these conspiracy theories before you just emotionally project and make assumptions about the people that are talking about them, because a lot of them lead to truth. And that's the fucking vibe today, baby.
That's awesome that those states are actually gearing together. And now Trump actually literally has a task force. Him and RFK literally got a task force now that starts targeting the spray chiefs after busting federal up. The recently established chemtrail task force of the Trump administration is not wasting any time. They have already identified a major source for the chemical attacks that is sweeping through our towns, despite the rise of the mainstream and silence of institutions that have been taken prisoner. As confirmed by insiders, National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA as everybody else knows it as, like the NOAA weather radio, has been operating rogue chemtrails out of covert sub-departments. As we speak, these units are being dismantled. And who are the deep state actors at fault? Losing their jobs while be the least of their worries, since they are being watched. Justice will soon be served to them. The problem is that this is only the beginning, because what the risk group discovered next is far more sinister and includes foreign countries' weather systems that have been weaponized and long-standing scheme to manipulate the bodies and minds of whole populations. If chemtrails are just conspiracy theory, a fantasy cooked up by tinfoil hat lunatics, then why are more than half Americans actively trying to stop them? You don't get mass public outcry over something that isn't real. You don't get whistleblower, independent lab results, and government task force over nothing. You get that kind of resistance when people know deep down something is very wrong. The skies just aren't natural anymore. That we're being sprayed like bugs and lied to. So the real question isn't if chemtrails are real, it's why are they so desperate to convince you they're not?
Dry ice from a small dispenser in the bottom of the plane. Under many conditions, of course, full-fledged snowstorms will be produced in this way. Nature at last has permitted to do a little something about the weather.
These were something that scientists had worked on, developed through the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, and were likely being deployed even today.
Resulting in this pure snow-white powder known as alumina. An ever-increasing amount of this alumina is being used in chemical processing,
eliminating all types of agents. Anti-crop spray from aircraft using the Aero X2A has proved very effective in field trials. For larger planes, the Air Force has perfected spray equipment. This B-17 has several spraying nozzles and carries the tank in the bomb bay.
And weather reconnaissance. We also had the responsibility of reporting jet engine contrails throughout our area of responsibility in Europe, North Africa, the Mediterranean, and Eastern Atlantic. We were responsible for pinpointing the exact altitudes of all jet engine contrails noted within the flying area of responsibility in both the weather and ECM aircraft missions. We became experts on jet engine aircraft contrails and all of their characteristics. Much different from the white aircraft spray trails that consist of scientifically verifiable straying of aluminum particles and other toxic heavy metals, polymers, and chemical components.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels. This process is also relatively inexpensive. The National Research Council estimates that a fully deployed SAI program would cost about $10 billion yearly. As promising as it may be, moving forward on SAI would also raise a number of challenges for our government and for the international community. On the technical side, greenhouse gas emission reductions would still have to accompany SAI to address other climate change effects, such as ocean acidification, because SAI alone would not remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. On the geopolitical side, the technology's potential to alter weather patterns and benefit certain regions of the world at the expense of other regions could trigger sharp opposition by some nations. Others might seize on SAI's benefits and back away from their commitment to carbon dioxide reductions. And as with other breakthrough technologies, global norms and standards are lacking to guide the deployment and implementation of SAI and other geoengineering initiatives. Now, I could go on and on and on and on about the things that fascinate me, but rather than talk about them, I thought I'd stop here and start the conversation with Judy, and then I can...
It's pretty crazy the world that we live in. Now they're all getting away with it. Hopefully we actually do see something actually come out of this now. We got the states that are actually banding together to get it out of the skies. Trump has this task force now with RFK, and they're going to make sure that something's done about it. But, you know, these people are still poisoning the waters. They're still purposely poisoning the lands. They're still trying to inject all the animals with mRNAs and stuff so they could say, look, they got bird flu. And it's kind of obvious what's happening. This bird flu didn't happen until they all got injected with the mRNAs. It's amazing, you know. I think the majority of the people are finally awake enough to actually see this magic trick, this sleight of hand that's been going on this whole entire time. Anytime a new shot comes out, like they was pushing the measles shots literally months ago, and now all of a sudden people are dying from measles. It gets more obvious every single time, especially the older you get. But yeah, it's fucking crazy. What do you guys think about this? Definitely leave your thoughts in the comments below. You can definitely check out this section, which is all my news, at news.joshu.net. Subscribe, and I update articles all the time on here. Or you could go to my main news site, which is joshu.net. And there we have like headlines from all over. So it's not just, you know, a bias or anything like that. It's literally headlines from all over. And just in one giant place. It's like a digital newspaper. So this is joshu.net. It's free, and check it out. Peace.
How did you find this place? Joshu? Hey, wait. What? How did you learn how to talk? Joshu.